Fire Princess Reviews. I'm Fire Princess Silly here to tell you about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd things. So, what are we talking about today? Well, as mentioned earlier in the week, I said that we would be talking about the latest episode of Steven Universe. Why are we talking about the latest episode of Steven Universe if we're not talking about all the other episodes or even about the cartoon itself? I've only ever reviewed the comics on this channel. Well, it's because I've always felt like my voice on the subject of Steven Universe wasn't necessarily needed because so many other people review it and react to it and do things like that. But with such a big episode, a whole hour long, which is really was 40, 50-ish minutes, if you include all the commercials and the breaks and everything like that. It was 4 different episodes spliced together into one big mega episode, and that's something to talk about. On top of that, it's the ending to the 5th season, which felt like it took 2 years to get through. Oh my god. We made it through the 5th season. And the 6th season is coming, so everybody who felt like this was a series finale, it was really just a season finale. There's also going to be a movie, so I feel like it's a good time to talk about what happened. If you haven't caught up with Steven Universe, I'm sorry, I feel pity for you because you probably have been spoiled by so many different things because people can't keep their mouths shut. 2, you need to do that, especially if you haven't been spoiled yet. Find it online. Watch it through your cable provider. I'm sure there's a on-demand that will let you watch Steven Universe. The episode's called Change Your Mind. There's also a few episodes before this, but Change Your Mind is the one we're focusing on. Now, this is the final episode of Steven and the Crystal Gems on Homeworld. Now, also very important, if you haven't watched this episode, I'm going to spoil things. That's how this channel works. If you're new here, that's how this channel works. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about this. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, including the maybe intentional, maybe not intentional allegory of the entire arc that was Steven and the Crystal Gems on Homeworld. Whew. So it's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it after I get a drink of water. These are things that my editor can edit out when I finally get one. Anyway, let's talk about this. So, what a crazy episode. So, of course, it starts off with Steven going through another one of those flashback dreams where he's being scolded by Blue Diamond as Pink Diamond for bringing organic life forms to Homeworld. Kind of showing that Pink has always had some kind of a soft spot for organics. But it also kind of shows that she sort of knew what colonies did to planets. We're led to believe, at least when Pearl explains the story, is that Pink Diamond didn't understand, how organics suffer when a colony is created, when a crystal colony is created, and that's what caused her to rebel. But if she's been saving organic life forms from other colonies that even aren't her own this whole time, then she was a little complicit, and that sucks. It's good that she changed her outlook and, fought back and tried to save the Earth and did her best and did save it, but we can't, ignore the fact that she, on some level, understood that organic life didn't necessarily survive colony creation. That's just what that is. So Steven awakes to Blue Diamond, scolding him for fusing with Connie at the ball, and even trying to make him cry, use her powers on him, just to get him to apologize, and the whole time calling him Pink. Pink Diamond. He's Pink Diamond. This is the thing we keep hearing while he's on Homeworld. In other episodes, even talking to other gems that aren't diamonds, they just call him Pink Diamond, and it's really frustrating and grating for Steven. But more on that. So, through a series of explaining to Blue Diamond that this is not how families work, families get mad at each other, families might even sometimes have to be strict with one another, but abusing each other isn't cool. At all. That's not how a good family works, and he sort of gets Blue to realize that that's why Pink left, is that she felt unneeded and abused through them. That's just kind of what happened. And so she is then on his side. We then cut to a scene of her sneaking Connie and Steven out of the prison room. Connie and Steven get some food in them, get some fluids in them, get dressed in regular, better clothes, and go to free the crystal gems from their bubble, where they run into Yellow Diamond, who is basically waiting there for them to show up because she knows that Blue is just going to cave into whatever Pink wants. So Yellow is like scolding them both, and Yellow's like, we can't, let Pink just go, and Blue's like, hey, she prefers we call Steven. So, I mean, it's progress. It's progress. Not 100%, but we're getting there. And Blue and Yellow have a fight. We get confirmation that gems that get fucking blitzed by Yellow Diamond take a longer time to reform themselves because she's a diamond with a lot of power. But Blue and Yellow fight. Steven quotes the old adage that if every hot dog were perfect, we wouldn't have pork chops. I almost wore that shirt for this review, but I like this shirt better. Anyway, moving on. Yellow agrees that things aren't perfect on Homeworld, and that she doesn't necessarily care for the way things run either. Now, this isn't me saying, like, we can forgive them for all the horrible deeds they ever did. This is me saying that character arc and development sometimes take time and effort. And even though she's coming around, she's still kind of a bad dictator person. So, that is 100% what that is. Moving on. So Yellow agrees to help them, and they go to Pink's legs because they're going to get Steven off the planet and away from White Diamond, because White Diamond is a fucking control freak. And that's when White Pearl shows up and says, you're not going anywhere. Like, with White Diamond's voice, it's super creepy. I will forever be mad that White Diamond doesn't have the Gladys voice. It just, you would think. Anyway, I'm forever salty. So, yeah. So, White has them cornered using you have trains, aren't they great? But White Diamond has them cornered with the ships, the pink legs, and the white body. That's right, it is a mecha. Which, I mean, if you've been watching these reviews, you know that's what it is. So, and that's when the blue and yellow arms show up, take the fight to the White Diamond mech, and knock it out. Well, not totally, they just knock it away, and it's revealed that Bismuth and Lapis and Peridot were piloting the arm ships, or the hand ships, whatever you want to call them. They were piloting, and it's amazing. It's good. Of course, we get a scene of Blue and Yellow Diamond pleading to White Diamond, like, no, we didn't punch you in the face, we would never, not us, please don't. Like, see, character development takes time, they're still fearful of White. I mean, and if you've watched the episode, you know why. Like, White Diamond's fucking creepy. So, White Diamond, obviously not, taken out by the punches. Blue and Yellow take control of the ships. They try to help with containing White Diamond so that they can talk. Because Steven is 150% convinced, because he's Steven, that if they could just talk this shit out, it will be cool. Everything will be fine. And I'm not saying that he's 100% wrong, as we find out later in the episode that talking more or less does kind of help. But there are people on the internet who are super mad about how this went, that Steven made peace with the diamonds, blah, blah, blah. Because, yes, they are dictators and have been for millennia, and I get it, right? But on the whole, this is a kid show about acceptance and solving your problems through not necessarily violent means. You know, so violence does happen in the show. I'm not saying it doesn't, but if you were for some reason were expecting Steven to go an opposite direction with like the way that he did this, I'm sorry. Like that wasn't ever going to happen. I mean, hope with all your hope, but come on. You know what the show is. You know what the show is. Anyway, so they reattach the arms to White Diamond torso to gain some micron of control over the mech. Steven also does a kneeling, which makes the legs kneel. Like, they call him Steven, too. Like, we're moving in a good direction for the Diamonds understanding Steven, albeit slowly. And so, Yellow Diamond says, hey, we need to talk. You've got some insane perfection, like, feelings that you, like, push on me and everybody else, and it's not good. Like, that's a lot of stress. I don't need that stress in my life. Nobody does. And they're trying to plead the case, you know, for all of them to sit down, have a discussion, come to some kind of an understanding. Because it's a good show. That's just how that... Anyway. White Diamond then blasts Yellow and Blue and turns them white too, taking control of the hand ships and causing a bunch of problems. Now this is where we get Rebecca's answer to everything. Like, what are we going to do to make these episodes really big? The answer is fusion. All the fusion. Fusion for days. Fusion. Who gets a fusion? You get a fusion. And you get a fusion. Everybody gets a fusion. Well, not our side characters, Lapis, Bismuth, and Peridot, but probably with good, like, personal reasons. Obviously, a fusion with Lapis would be probably really traumatic for Lapis. So, probably a good idea that didn't happen. Anyway, so Steven chases after his fallen comrades who are still in the gem form and forces fusion, more or less. Like, it's really interesting. Like, obviously, the gems, the crystal gems, or the gem people, as we've been shown in the past, do have some micron of knowledge of what's going on in their outside world, outside of their gems. But it's kind of interesting that Steven was able to pull each of them out via fusion. So we got, of course, Smoky Quartz. We got a Rainbow Quartz 2.0, which I kind of like their wacky nature. Like, it's fun. It's just like, it's a cartoon one, so I like the cartoon physics that Rainbow Quartz 2.0 has, including the rainbow-powered umbrella. That's great. And then we had Sunstone, which is my favorite Steven fusion next to Stevonnie. Like, I love it. I like how I like her design, or their design. I like the big flaming sun head and the cool glasses that are possibly just their eyes. We don't know. That's how I picture it. I imagine if they took it off, they wouldn't have eyes behind there. I even like their suction cups and how they're just a big 90s PSA about bullying and believing in yourself. I love the whole thing. It's so good. And then the four of them form Obsidian, which honestly, and nobody else, like, I've seen a couple reviews, nobody else is calling this, like, for whatever reason. That is the Hindu goddess Kali. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. There's fire, destruction. That's Kali to a T, all 8 arms. So, I don't know why nobody else said it. I'm saying it. It's Kali. She also has the coolest weapon out of all the fusions. Just a big sword that she pulls out of her own mouth of fire and death. And she chops handships like they're nothing. Of course, she gets unfused via blunt force trauma as White Diamond crushes Obsidian against the wall. It's Anyway, it was fun. Then we get into the chamber. That's when things get super serious. Like, things were already serious, but now they're super serious. So, Steven's trying to talk to White Diamond, because he still is, like, under the impression that, hey, we're family, we can just talk this out, because that's what family should do. Like, because he comes from a super loving and supportive family. And so, White Diamond's not quite done being White Diamond. And she zaps all of the crystal gems except Steven, puts him in control, basically puts Steven on blast as Pink Diamond. She's like, you are Pink Diamond, you're just hiding yourself so well that you've even fooled yourself. And as usual, you've gathered like these flawed creatures among them so that you could be the best of the worst, so you could feel good about yourself, because that's what you do. It's very Mother Gothel from Rapunzel. She is just like heavy guilt, like it's bad. And so he was like, no, I'm not my mom. And White Dad was like, well, then why do you know so much about her? Why do you know the things that you do? And he's like, because my powers make me connect to people. And it's this whole like mind game of, is Steven really Pink Diamond Rose Quartz? Which, for some reason, the fandom was, like, speculating super hard for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. I don't much care for fan theories because usually they're bunk. Yes, I realize that Rose Quartz was Pink Diamond and that theory panned out, but you got lucky, okay? Let me put it right out there that all of you got lucky. You didn't call it. You made a guess, and it was right. Hard facts. Anyway. So, White Diamond pulls the gem out of Steven, which answers the question, what would happen if that happened? Steven starts to die. This is, like, really heavy, but the screen splits. We get one side where Steven is looking out into the room and sees, like, the gem reforming into something. We get like a silhouette of Pink Diamond, and then of Rose Quartz, and then a silhouette of Steven, all pink out, and he on the other side, and the other half of the screen is that Steven's vision. It's a really interesting scene. So, super cool. And White Diamond's like, what the fuck is this shit? Where's Pink Diamond? And we get like the iconic scene, you've probably seen a million memes of it, of Pink Steven screaming that she's gone and breaking the room. We get shields everywhere, and the two Steven halves fuse to just become Steven. And the answer is that Steven is Steven. He's not his mom in any kind of way. He's not Pink Diamond. He's not Rose Quartz. He's always been Steven. Also, that animation for those 15 seconds is phenomenal. And that's because of Disney animator James Baxter, and we love him. Every episode would cost way too much to produce, but let him do all of season 6. Like, that was flawless. Super flawless. And if we get a line from Pink Diamond, she's like, not Pink Diamond, from White Diamond, she's like, you're Pink Diamond, you're just behaving like a child. And Steven's like, I am a child. What's your excuse? Which, burn, right? Of course. Like, I'm going fast here, but it shakes White Diamond so much that she releases her control over everybody and becomes a little pink herself. Because, as mentioned, she is every spectrum of light, so she's all of the colors of light on every spectrum. So she has a little bit of them all in her. And he's like, look, you can't make things perfect. You can make things better, but first you gotta come out of your head. Like, get out of your own head, look around the world, and then you can do some work, So, they go back to Earth. It's Sadie and the Killers. They're singing, Let Me Drown My Vanity, Your Heart. Lars shows up, meets Lion. Lars and Sadie have a fun moment. There's no smooching, whatever. Maybe they're not there yet because they've both been changed in such dramatic and fantastical ways that they don't know exactly how they really feel about each other right at this moment. Or maybe they do, but they're not ready to engage in that yet because Lars died, right? Sadie's a rock star. Their lives are in two different places, obviously, and it's a big discussion to have, and maybe smooching wouldn't have been appropriate for everybody complaining about why didn't they smooch. That's why. Shit happened. Poof. Moving on. Then, at the very end, after we've healed the corrupted gems, although a lot of the corrupted gems still have like patches or scars from their corruption, which is cool, and everybody's gonna get that Jasper redemption arc that they wanted. Like, I get that Steven Universe is a show where we try to redeem everybody because the ideal of this show is solving our problems with each other in a more peaceful solution where we can all come to an understanding of each other. I get that, but maybe some characters don't need it. And I'm not saying that Jasper doesn't deserve it or something, but maybe she also doesn't deserve it? I don't know. Like, that's my feelings. I like Jasper. She's my favorite trash character. That's my trash panda. But she's also a terrible, terrible person. So there's that. But we end the episode on a new song called Change Your Mind, sung by Steven, where he says, I don't need your respect. I respect me. I don't need you to understand me. I understand me. I love me. Like, what a powerful song. Especially when you think about it in the context that everybody has been putting this arc in. Now, it's not official, right? Of course it's not official. Nobody's come out and said it yet. Maybe Rebecca Sugar will come out and say it, you know. But a lot of people are taking this arc and applying it to being trans. Because, well, a lot of the fan base is trans in some way. They're either non-binary or they're binary trans. But there are a lot of trans people in this fandom. Rebecca Sugar herself is non-binary. So maybe it was meant to be. Maybe we're seeing what we want to see. But I certainly got those feels. Especially when you're watching Steven be on Homeworld and everybody keeps referring to him as Pink Diamond and she. And it's like totally wrong. It's reverting to him into an identity that one that he never possessed. But even if he had possessed, it's not an identity that he identifies with anymore. That's not who he is. He's Steven, and he wants this family to see him as Steven, and they push back against it hard because they've only ever known Pink Diamond, right? Right. So there's a lot of trans parallel, especially in the demanding from White Diamond that no, it's all wrong, you are Pink Diamond, you have to be Pink Diamond, you can't be this person you say you are, it's not possible, you are who I say you are. That happens in so many trans people's lives, like all day, every day, from people who are supposed to love and care for them no matter what. They get these situations, right? And that's what Steven went through. And so it's hard not to draw those parallels, and a lot of people are. I certainly am. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for seeing it that way. And if you didn't see it that way, it's because, well, your life experiences are different, right? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that you're not smart or that you can't understand subtext or anything like that. I'm just saying that our life experiences are 150% different, right? We all have a different reality, more or less, of which we see. And just because I got those feels from this particular set of episodes and you didn't, doesn't mean that the way that we've interpreted it is necessarily wrong on either side. It's just different. And that is okay, right? I don't know why I'm working this hard to be like, hey, let's not fight, but I certainly am. And yeah, maybe it's because we can all change our minds about stuff, right? We can all come to an understanding if we try. And that's totally the message of the show. Like, if when the movie comes along and the villain of that movie happens, and when Steven doesn't, like, fucking form obsidian and, like, chop this villain in half, don't be surprised, because why would Steven ever do that? When has Steven ever thought that violence first was the answer? Or that violence at all was the answer? That's not who Steven is. So, maybe there will be a point where he gets pushed to that and he has to be pulled back. Maybe that's what Season 6 will be about. People are speculating that there might be a time jump in Season 6. We'll come back like a few years after Homeworld and see what that Steven looks like. I don't know. It's really interesting. This whole show is super interesting, and I'm going to keep watching it regardless of... Well, I mean, it would have to take a pretty hard turn into some areas for me to stop watching it. So, but weird things have happened. So, that's it. That's Steven Universe. Or at least this episode of Steven Universe. We've gone 25 minutes in, and I hope you've enjoyed the ride somewhat, and that I made my points. As always, I'm Fire Princess Lily. Next episode, we're going to talk about Dragon Ball Super Broly, and I hope you're ready for another roller coaster, because it was crazy. And that's my time. So until next time, enjoy comics, enjoy cartoons, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!